Welcome to Inside the Audition, the podcast where we go behind the scenes for a deep dive look into the world of auditions. I'm Joe Lars Larson, creator of Actors Audition Club, an international community helping actors book your dream roles in TV, film, and theater.
And I'm Brandon Knox, actor, producer, and co-host. Each episode, we chat with actors and industry professionals to share their audition experiences, insights, and advice.
We provide actors with actionable tips, strategies, and resources to help you elevate your auditions.
We demystify the often intimidating and misunderstood world of auditions to help you succeed.
So whether you're just starting out on your acting journey or you're a seasoned pro, join our Actors Audition Club members as we go Inside the Audition. Oh, start spreading the news. He returned yesterday. He went to be a part of it. New York, but now he's back in Toronto.
Girl.
Ooh, he even got a shirt. Wow, where'd you get that shirt?
This is what you got me when you went to the summer intensive 2 years ago.
Ooh, right. And does the old saying hold up? Do you heart and why after being there for your first time?
I gotta say, I'm pretty smitten.
He's smitten. That sounds like a man in love with the city. Yes. Welcome, everyone. Hello on Facebook, on YouTube. Welcome live. This is episode 149. We've got a special one today. Brandon has New York gold dust sprinkled all over him. He was just down in New York City, down in and around Broadway for the first time at the Totteroff Summer Intensive for an incredible, what I'm imagining is a life-changing and career-changing experience with their staff and conservatory instructors. So today I thought, let's talk all about that. So I'm going to basically interview Brandon about his first New York experience. So let's just off the top, just to get it out. How was it?
Fantastic. It was incredible. As you said, life-changing, refreshing, exhilarating. It was everything I needed and wanted and more. And I'm so happy that I was able to go and that I had saved up for this. And I was just raring to go. And I was excited to be in a room full of actors playing with players, as Tom likes to say. And they were all players. It was incredibly refreshing.
So today, what I thought we would do is I'm just going to ask you questions to walk us through the entire trip, because this is not only was the conservatory, but there's the dual story of this being your first ever trip to New York, which is fun. It's a fun experience for everyone who's been here. Really, New York is like, obviously, it's a hub for TV and film and theater, but it's just really one of the capitals of the world, period, no matter what industry you're in. So it's just one of those cities that I would say it's the capital of the world. It's arguable London and Tokyo as well are up there, or maybe something in the Middle East like Dubai, but they're all just imitating New York. New York is the original capital of the world, and I think it's going to stay that way for a little while. So listeners at home, a couple things. Make sure to share this out, because we're going to be talking about the conservatory experience. Brandon, I'm going to be asking him questions about certain things he learned in specific classes, what his takeaways were, what his aha moments were, what he's taken away that he's going to incorporate into his own auditions, since this is Inside the Audition, and talk about things that he learned and how he's going to apply them to directing other actors here at Actors Audition Club. So it's going to be a great episode. We're going to go deep dive into many things. I'm sure you're going to hear a ton of pearls of wisdom that Brandon learned about. Maybe we'll hear about how New York defeated him here one time or another. Everyone's first trip to New York, it's like something about New York eats you alive the first time, where you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming. And also at the end of this episode, we're going to do our giveaway, though. And you got to comment #audition to do that. Anyone who comments #audition, we have a little ticker for that. At any point, that's a great thing about being live. You want to show up live. And what we're going to do, we're going to give away your choice. We'll give away, if you're in the Toronto area, we'll give away a pair of Comedy Alley tickets for an upcoming show, or whether you're in Toronto or abroad, we'll also give away an audition session with one of our audition directors here at Actors Audition Club. So you can win comedy tickets or a free session for your next self-tape. But throughout the show, you got to, at some point, comment #audition to enter the draw. I see you, Facebook. I see you out there. And make sure to share this out with your actor friends. So smash that Facebook share button and let your network know. So first question, Brandon, let's talk about the journey to New York City. How did you get there? You took a private jet?
Yep. No. I took a bus. I took the midnight bus on Saturday, got in around 9:30 on Sunday morning. It was not bad.
That's the Yelp review on the bus. What you said the name of the bus was Flix Bus?
Yeah, it was a Flix bus.
Flix Bus. Not bad, Brandon Knox. It's like 3 stars. Not bad. Yeah.
Like we had some stops along the way. It was fine.
It's a slog. It's a bit of a slog. It's an 11-hour drive. If you were driving not on a bus, it's about 8 hours with stops for lunch and gas. Maybe it's probably 9 hours to get down there, because I think it's like 450 miles south or something like that, 500 miles around that.
Makes sense.
The Proclaimers once walked there and back again. I would walk 500 miles. I would walk 500 more.
Damn it.
I think that song was about walking from Toronto to New York City. Even though they're Scottish, I don't know how that makes sense.
Yeah.
So bus, nobody got decapitated, no defecating on the bus, nobody puked. You ever had that happen? You ever be on a bus where somebody pukes and then there's just puke rolling up and down the floor as the bus rolls down the highway?
No, thankfully that has never happened, and I hope that never happens in my life.
So you're in a capsule. You're in a 30-40 foot long capsule with, was it full bus?
Yeah, it was a full bus going there.
So a bunch of 50 strangers, all their burps, farts, and breathing all in one little bus for 11 hours. Air conditioned?
Yes, it was.
All right. Okay. And the famous thing about this bus and all buses is they advertise Wi-Fi that never fucking works. I'm talking to you, Megabus or Flixbus, free Wi-Fi, and then it's always like connected.
Because even the driver before we left Toronto was like, yeah, so we technically have Wi-Fi. Most of the time it doesn't work. So don't complain to me if it doesn't.
That's a scam. They just know. Yeah, we know we say we have Wi-Fi, but this is a discount bus ride and it doesn't work. Don't ask me about it. I am not an internet guy. I love that they tell you up front. Yeah, he's riding the bus and he's like, yeah, just so you know, the Wi-Fi doesn't work. So fucking stop asking me about it, you jerks. Now, next stop, Manhattan. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, it never works. And if you've ridden a midnight bus, you know what we're talking about, where everyone's like, what's the password? And no one's connecting. And everyone's like, did you get on? Are you connecting? Did yours work? And you're like, no, I'm hotspotting the whole way down, paying $50 a gig in roaming fees right now.
My God.
The bus, you stop at the border, you get a nice border check-in. Have you been to the States period before?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
But
I've
not
been to
New
the
York.
States before.
Right.
But yeah, just not New York specifically. Like
Anything
I've been to
notable on the
Buffalo,
bus
I've been to Tennessee, I've been to Florida.
Okay.
All
All
yeah.
right. So anything notable on the bus? What are you doing on the bus? You're running lines, you're reading, you're sleeping.
I attempted to sleep. It wasn't super easy. And also the guy next to me was taking up so much space, but also didn't like me in his space. And so I was drifting off to sleep almost because I was on the aisle, he was in the window, and I would just drift off to sleep, and then I would just feel his shoulder like shove me. And I'm like, whoa, what? And he's like, dude, stop. And I'm like, what the fuck, man?
It was just a battle. It was a battle over the middle armrest kind of thing. Like he wanted a hard line. He was like, this is east and this is west.
But he kept passing the line. He kept passing his line, Lars. Like,
right.
He wasn't any better. I was just more polite.
Right. He's like, only I may cross into enemy territory, but don't you cross into my territory. So you're anticipating it. You're probably excited. Probably tough to sleep even because you're on the way to New York. So you're on the way to this incredible acting experience with the Todorov Conservatory program and New York for the first time. Do you remember rolling up? Do you remember your first views where you start to see through the bus or out your window? Like,
you didn't really get to see it as it was coming up, but just before we got into the tunnel, because there was a tunnel into New York, like just at the side, you could just see the city
tunnel.
And you just see this beautiful city, and then you go down into this tunnel, and then you're there, and you're like you're in these wonderful buildings, and it I don't know, it felt like coming home.
Interesting. Yeah, we talked about that. I mentioned before you left, and I've had this feeling like I feel like New York is a city that whoever you are at the outside of that tunnel crossing over, or whether you take a bridge in, you're by the time you step foot in Manhattan, you're like a different person and forever changed. And certainly you're different after being there for a little while. Like it just affects you. It's a different energy. There's a buzz and a vibe. It's really that entire Alicia Keys Empire State of Mind song is exactly sums it up. So so you arrived.
I kept hearing these lights will inspire you.
These lights will inspire you.
Make you feel brand new.
Yeah, it has that. And also you mentioned feeling that odd feeling of like coming home and familiarity. I believe, I have a theory that is because New York's one of the most heavily filmed cities of all time, in so many movies, so many TV shows, even things that aren't the iconic things like Central Park or Empire State Building or Statue of Liberty or Times Square. There's a lot of other places where you might not know like the name of the building or exactly what corner it is in New York, but you're like, I've seen that before. And you've seen it like in 10 episodes of Law and Order, or in Ghostbusters when they shot down there, or whatever, like all of them, Seinfeld as an example too, where you're like, I feel familiar. Like I've seen this deli before. I've seen that pizza shop before. It's like, familiar. That's the pizza shop underneath the Letterman studio where Letterman used to walk out and get pizza, like that kind of thing. So great. So you arrive, where are you staying?
It was raining.
It
was raining. We arrive just outside Madison Square Garden.
Nice.
And then we park the bus and we all get off. And you're just standing in the middle of 8th Avenue and 31st Street, looking at the Madison Square Garden. And you're just sort of left there. And like, that's it. It's done. And
that's when the rats and pickpockets descend on you. They're like,
I gotta say, I was a little disappointed. I was expecting more rats. You know how many I saw, Lars?
How many?
2.
That's
the
reasonable.
Whole time.
Were they around garbage, or were they in the subway where they were supposed to be?
One was outside Madison Square Garden, like a construction site.
Right.
And then one was in Central Park as I was exploring a meadow or something.
Sure that wasn't a squirrel?
I'm sure it wasn't a squirrel. It was definitely a rat.
It was a hairless squirrel.
Although I found the squirrels there, like the squirrels in Central Park, like they're brave.
Oh yeah.
Like they just walk up to you. They're just like, hey, you could probably feed us, right?
Hey,
you could feed us.
Hey, you got $10?
Hey, what are you doing over there?
Go buy me a pastrami sandwich. A lot of them are in the mob.
You want to see me climb this tree and come back down?
They don't do it. Hey, look at this wise guy. Hey, Tony, look at this wise guy from Canada sitting over here close to our tree. Fuck you. Give me $20. You're like, are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
I sat in a coffee shop for a couple hours because I couldn't sign into my Airbnb
Right. You gotta
until
check in
about
in the
like 12
afternoon.
p.m. So I got there around 9:30. I sat in a coffee shop for a bit. Uh, I did explore a little bit. I found Broadway almost immediately.
Nice.
Um,
Broadway / 7th Avenue. I think in places
yeah, it's
it's
like a
7th /
split
Broadway.
of
Yeah.
7th Avenue or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool. First time on Broadway. First time seeing the sign is cool. You're like, ooh, it's a real thing.
yeah, I know. I sent it
Yeah.
to
It's
I sent it
was
to
it
my girlfriend and I sent it to my parents saying, "Oh, look, I made it."
But I like the picture that he showed was of the street sign that said Broadway, but the building behind was like a nondescript building with like scaffolding and just graffiti. It was like this isn't. It wasn't like it was a theater or Times Square
No.
or anything fancy. It was just like the street sign Broadway in front of garbage. Yeah. So you didn't get pickpocketed. For those listening at home, Brandon's mom was really worried. She was like, be careful down there. Watch your pockets. They're full of pickpockets. No, not a single pickpocket attempt
No.
and only 2
I
rats.
was a little insulted actually. I was like,
Right.
what's wrong with my pockets?"
You'd walk into the subway platform whistling like, oh, it's good to be down here in the subway.
I will admit I didn't actually go into the subway at all.
Oh no.
I
That's
mean,
fine. All
I
right.
was staying on 29th and 6th, so I was pretty much in the heart of Midtown anyway. And
Yeah.
so I could pretty much walk everywhere.
Yeah, it's great. It's a very walkable city. You only
Yeah.
ever need to use the subway if you're going far
Yeah.
and know what you're doing. So you settle in. You said your place was Airbnb was around 29th and
6th Avenue.
6th Avenue. So hop,
Yeah.
skip, and a jump from Broadway, a little 10 blocks north, and you're in Times Square, right in the
Yep.
thick of it. That's a great spot. So tell me, let's go day by day through conservatory. Who taught
Okay.
you? And this is great because for those of listeners, viewers, I've been through the full 8-month conservatory, and they use their conservatory constructors as the, did I say constructors?
Yeah, you did.
Conservatory instructors.
There you go.
Who are all working actors and have long, illustrious careers working for many different institutions, including the Todorov Conservatory. So I have shared love for many of the instructors that worked with you. But day one, what's up on the docket?
So we start off Monday, 10 a.m. with Philip Markle for improv.
Oh, that's a great start. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
it was great.
welcome to New York, motherfuckers. Yeah.
And like there was 14 of us in the class, all of us varying different ages, varying different backgrounds. Most people were from the States, but there were a couple of us from Canada, and we were all kind of timid at first, and like we didn't want to screw up, and we didn't want to feel out of place. Like we were throwing an invisible ball around, so you pass it like here's a red ball, and when you catch it, I want you to say red ball, and when I throw it, I'm going to say red ball, red ball.
Red ball.
Pass it back.
Red ball.
Red ball.
Red ball gives you wings.
Oh, it does. That's good. That's good. Remember that.
So Philip is the improv teacher.
Yes.
He's a fantastic comedian and performer. He runs a venue in Brooklyn.
Yep.
Runs regular shows. Has done one-man shows. Completely outrageous and a great improv teacher. So tell me about some of the games you played or exercises you did and a couple takeaways.
So we did. We started off with that, and the takeaway from that, because I ended up losing a blue ball at one point, and it's like, okay, so what is the best course of action when you lose an invisible ball? Start it back up again. No one cares.
Right.
And it's just like, keep going. Sometimes there's things that flub you up. Just keep going with it. And usually, even if it's a mess up or something, you can make that into a bit.
Right. Happy accidents. That's
happy
a great
accidents.
Thing. Yeah. It's like nothing really ever goes wrong. And if it does, it was right for a fun reason. Yeah.
Yeah. And
love it.
we started working on deals and how one comes in with a deal, and the best ways, even if you don't understand or feel comfortable doing a scene or a situation, if you just come in with a leading with a body part, like with a pinky or something, or leading with a vowel of, oh, so you're gonna be doing that later, huh, Lars? Like
Interesting.
something along those lines, so that way you can immediately get yourself into a scene, um, and like you don't feel you immediately are able to find your deal,
Right.
which is like coming in
Yeah,
with
really
a
leaning into it and find your deal is find your deal is like what is your perspective, what's your angle, it's kind of a combo of what's your relationship and what's the conflict, what are you fighting for, so that in an
yeah.
improv situation people need to know, like, oh, like instantly it's like, oh, he's that type of guy and this is what he likes, like whatever the description is. Just ambiguity and lack of specificity sucks in improv. You want to be really specific and really strong so that people aren't like, what's his deal? Wait, oh, I thought he liked that stuff. Oh, isn't he? Oh, he's not having a good time. Oh, I thought he really liked to party. Now he doesn't really seem like he likes to party anymore. Like that's the worst for an improv audience, because they're just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on or what anyone stands for and what anyone wants and what's happening here. Yeah.
Next, we worked with Julia Lenardin for voice,
Amazing.
and she was really incredible. She does a lot of voice work for the Tom Todoroff Saturday and Monday classes, and she followed a similar blueprint to what she will do for one of those classes, but she really likes to have partner work. And we got to work a lot with each other in that first class. So what we were doing is we were tracing the outside and inside of our foot, and it was to help ground us and like to immediately get us into a relaxed and informative and imaginative state of mind, so that we can have access to all of our facilities when we are performing.
Love it.
And it was fantastic. And like she really talked about the practical effects of like, yes, we're doing this with a partner right now, but this is how you can apply it so that you can do this later on by yourself and no one even knows what you're doing.
Right.
And like it was very practical, and it was very like, even if you're just on a bus and you feel yourself getting a little overwhelmed, you can do this and feel more relaxed. And
hold your breath, right? Hold your breath and jump up and down. Is that how to do
exactly.
it?
Don't breathe. Stop breathing.
Don't breathe. I found we joked about this when I did conservatory. Is a lot of acting classes, really what they need to teach you is how to relax and how to breathe. Like that, if you can get better at both of those things, then you're like, oh, I seem like I'm really good at this. Yeah, it's because you're breathing and you're not all tense everywhere. Yeah, that's great. She's such a pro, man. She's like up, like they all are. All the faculty is incredible there. But as a voice and speech teacher, her experience and the projects she's worked on some Mervish productions here in Canada, lots of TV and film stuff. Like the pedigree of instructors that you get through them are top notch. So
and she was very excited that Andrew Wade was going to be teaching us Shakespeare, because Andrew Wade helped her get her first Broadway voice coaching gig.
Wow.
For, I believe, Matilda.
Nice.
Yeah. And so she was talking about very complimentary things and like how excited she was for us to be working with someone like Andrew Wade, because she really looks up to him as well.
Right. And for those who don't know, Andrew Wade previously was the voice and speech director for the Royal Shakespeare Company. So again, fairly high pedigree up there, and the level of people and actors that he's worked with is incredible. So that was day one. Day one was improv and voice and speech with Julia.
Well, we're not quite done yet. It was supposed to be Margie Sharp Douglas was going to be teaching an hour and a half of Alexander technique.
Love it.
Unfortunately, her plane was delayed, and so we got an extra hour with Janice Orlandi. who
Ooh,
walked
nice.
us through Chekhov movement. And so the different styles of movement are the 4 elements of molding, which is earth, floating, which is water, flying, which is air, and radiating, which is fire. And we
Nice.
explored all of that for about an hour. And like, that was so cool. It really brought the 14 of us really together. And we were really finding more fun exploring together. Like,
Right.
there was still some like hesitation, but like we were starting to really come together at that point. And Janice is just such a character, so much fun to work with. I actually found out that she, because she mentioned the City Company, I worked with a man named Jayed Arazia, who is one of the founding members of the City Company. He is, I'm not sure if he is still the artistic director of the master's program at UCLA, but he was doing that for a short period of time. He's been a performer, a director, a stage coach, like one of the best people I worked with when I was at the University of Windsor. Janice has a strong connection with him, and she also has a strong connection with the Chekhov people, which I studied under Lionel Walsh at the University of Windsor, who is a Chekhov. He holds a master's degree in Chekhov.
Nice.
And he's one of like the founding members of bringing Chekhov to this university. And like Chekhov is really the base of what we did at the University of Windsor. And I didn't realize this, but Janice was telling me later in the week that the archives for the Michael Chekhov program are in Windsor.
Interesting.
Yeah. Fascinating stuff.
It's funny that there's 2 famous Chekhovs in the world of acting. One is Michael, who's the movement teacher, and then there's the Chekhov who wrote all the famous plays that like Seagull and Three Sisters and all of those ones.
And it's funny because like a lot of what they did really overlaps with one another, and like I'm not sure if they are related or what the connection
of a similar
is.
time, at least. Yeah.
Well, Michael Chekhov was later on.
Right. He used his grandson. We'll fact check that.
Yeah, we should fact check that and come back
where he came from.
In episode 150, we'll dissect this.
Right. Love Janice. Janice is so New York too. She's got that
great.
New York twang to her coffee and oh my darlings. Oh, so beautiful. I just love what you've done here. And then when she's running she's always got great music tracks for all the movement stuff. And she's kind of narrating like, you're flying through a meadow. You're free. You're flying. You see the one you love. Your life is amazing. You're reaching heights you've never reached before. Yeah. You're radiating. You leave that class. I left her classes during conservatory and at summer intensive feeling like, am I some kind of like flying unicorn that can fly through the air and I'm on fire. Like I left those classes feeling like I'm a wizard. Like I'm a wizard of energy and emotion, and I can just shoot like flaming balls of fire at people for good or bad. Yeah. She's amazing. Her work is so freeing and so fun. Like I would finish her classes, and you'd literally feel like you're floating. I would always go for walks and go out into the world and like see people and sense people, and you just feel like way more open and free and connected as well. Yeah. Can't get enough of Janice or Landy.
And should I tell them about my adventures after the first day, or you want to say that?
Yeah, let's do that to the end. Let's get through the acting stuff, and we'll save a couple of fun stories.
Okay.
So that's the end of day 1. You go home. Oh no, we'll save it. We'll save it. No, let's tell it now.
Okay.
Kind of makes sense. It's a callback for later.
So
you had never seen Central Park, so you're like, after class, I'm gonna stroll to Central Park.
It was Monday, and so like that's a dark day for Broadway, and I was like, okay, so there's no shows, there's nothing I need to do for tomorrow's class, so I'm gonna go find Central Park. And I don't know why I had it in my head that it was down 8th Avenue, like
down meaning south, which is the opposite direction. Yeah.
And so and someone in class had told me like, oh, well, that's a pretty far walk. And I was like, well, I'm pretty good at walking. I've walked
Right.
long distances before. Like I'm pretty adept at this.
Right.
I'm pretty confident that I can make it to Central Park, even if it's like an hour long walk. And so
And what it is, I was going to say,
yeah.
if you're on 29th, the bottom of Central Park is at 57th Street. So it would be, what is that? Not quite 30 blocks, I guess. Usually it's about a block a minute when you're walking the numbers blocks. Avenues are further apart, but
Yeah.
generally, if you got to walk 30 blocks, it's going to be around a 30-minute walk, which isn't that bad. So also, you should explain why you were just going with your gut instinct rather than looking up the correct data.
Well, I thought that I had a data plan for when I went to the States and like roaming and call and text. But I found out as soon as I crossed the border, I did not have that. And it would cost me a lot of money to have data on and to be roaming. So I decided to not do that. And I turned my phone on airplane mode. There were bits where I had Wi-Fi. I had Wi-Fi at my Airbnb. I had Wi-Fi at the studio. I had Wi-Fi. Sometimes walking around New York because they do have public Wi-Fi.
Yeah, there's a lot of public. So you're like, I'm off to explore Central Park, and then what happens?
And I looked at someone and I was like, "It's this way, right?" And they didn't respond and didn't hear me. And so I was like, well, it must be this way. And so I walked south and I kept walking and I kept walking. And it's about like I passed a UPS truck storage place. And so like it's just like a giant warehouse with like truck drivers just hanging out or filling air at tires or filling up gas.
Like, this doesn't feel like a park.
And I'm like, oh wow, this is getting to be a kind of a nice area. This is kind of sweet. Okay. And I pass Washington State Park, which is a very nice park.
Washington Square. Yeah.
Washington Square Park.
Washington Square. Yeah. Which is way down like 10th, 14th, something way there. You completely walked the opposite direction.
I walked the complete opposite direction and didn't realize it until later that night when I got home and was talking to my girlfriend, and she just said, no, you went the complete opposite way.
Right.
And I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. What? And I looked and I was like, God damn it. It's on 57.
It only makes sense because you didn't have data. Yeah. So you literally didn't have the data you needed to find the place you needed to go. You were sticking with your gut and they were like, this way. And the easy thing about New York is a lot of it is on a grid system, and
it's numbered.
You had been paying attention, it's numbered to go, like the numbers should have been going up as you were walking towards the park. So if you had seen like, oh, I'm on 14th Street right now, that doesn't sound like 57th Street. Maybe do these numbers go down and then
back up?
Go up. Right. Yeah, they go down to 0 and they go back up again. Yeah. So there was a running gag all week long, like, hey, Brandon, did you ever make it to Central Park?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Daniel Greer, who is a conservatory mate of Lars's and has been with the Saturday class since I started as well, before I started, has every morning was like, so you find Central Park yet? It became a running joke, and like it was great.
It's not like it's right in the middle of the city and it's just huge. It's like literally the biggest thing in New York is Central Park.
I don't know why I was expecting something smaller, but it's so that was the first day.
So day one. Finally go to bed. Central Park fail, conservatory win. On to day two. Day two,
similar to day one. We start with Julia Lenardin. She takes us through a lot of breath exercises and making sure that we're opening up our lungs to the fullest capacity. And so had different exercises, a lot of partner stuff where we're pounding on each other's backs as we're rolling down, and then feeling on the last, like feeling the bottom rib as we like
Right.
open up our chest, and as we're letting breath in, and like we're pushing air out as much as we can so that we can fully let in a huge breath and like feel that relief in our lungs, because when we're opening our lungs fully, we have more capacity with our breath and with what we're able to do as actors. And
Yeah, most people breathe very shallow as well, actors
Mhm.
included. Like we're
Oh
really
yeah,
not using our full not diaphragm,
diaphragm.
or our full opening up our full rib cage and the
Hmm.
muscularity there to really fill your lungs.
Yeah, because I noticed while we were doing it, I have a strong tendency to just breathe into my diaphragm and not breathe into my lungs. And so my chest doesn't expand as much, but it should be expanding both at the same
Right.
time. And like, and I was like, this is probably out of fear because of when I was in high school music theater. It was always breathe into your diaphragm, breathe into your diaphragm. And I think I just trained myself to just,
To be stressed.
yeah, just
Yeah.
stress do it. And it's not strong enough. Like it's strong, but it's not what I need.
Right.
Right. And so like figuring out that tendency was huge.
Yeah. The other thing I think a lot of people do as well is hold in their like gut, their belly, like they're never fully relaxed because everyone's kind of sucking it in, wanting to
Hmm.
look good in their t-shirt or
Yeah.
wanting to have abs or whatever. So there's that tendency of like holding that tension. So if you're
Yeah.
never fully relaxed, you're never really fully breathing. And if you're not fully breathing, you're not connected fully to your voice or to your
Hmm.
emotions. So yeah, that's huge. Just relaxing and breathing. If you learn anything from today,
So
it's just relax and
I mean, those are huge, and it's definitely so crucial for what um what you're able to do on stage and on screen. Like you just have more access to everything, more access to your emotions, more access to power, more access to vulnerability. It's incredible.
So Julia, what?
Then we had Philip again.
Nice.
We only had Philip and Julia for those first 2 days, and we did get to meet Margie, and we had a 2-hour class with her. And we in so for Phillips, it was a lot of reiteration and an introduction into long form improv and like getting faster and more efficient at finding our deals and making quicker decisions,
Right.
which
Trusting
is,
yourself.
yeah, really trusting ourselves. And that was great. And then we
He's
worked with Margie for the end of the day on Tuesday. And that was a lot about patterns and finding patterns in something that you're doing, and then balance. And so we were balancing peacock feathers on our hand, on our flat palm, and like keeping it as still as possible. And I figured out if I kept moving, if I was moving with the feather, it would stay still. I was just the one that was more of a pivot. And so like I kept it up for a long time, and that felt really good. I was really excited to explore more about the neutral body, which I don't know if we really got to touch on as much. But I'm excited to learn more about Alexander technique, because I really want to continue that training, and I really want to continue what that philosophy is, and how the neutral body can apply to so many different characters and that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Alexander's great. I mean, it's great to correct things and stresses and tensions in your body and really
yeah,
have that relaxed, elongated body. And it's so great for relaxation. There's some Alexander exercises or techniques that when you learn them and do them enough that then you can almost barely do it like you do the first step of that exercise, and it's
yeah.
enough to trigger the rest of the chain of relaxation that you need. I've used some of that before stand-up performances, before high stakes things, before an audition, where you kind of start to feel your heart going and you can feel your breathing going, where you're getting shallow. Maybe your thoughts are starting to race, and then a couple little Alexander techniques just to ground yourself and fully relax and get back into your body and just and come from a place of personal strength and power rather than tension and anxiety and the opposite of relaxation. Love it. So that's day 2. One thing about Philip too that I love, I don't know if he was throwing around these catchphrases, but things that I took away from him in conservatory were, there's no right or wrong, there's only weak or strong. So don't get worried about, am I making the best choice or the one right choice? There's infinite choices. Just make sure that you lean into it hard and make a bold choice, a strong choice, and commit to it. Don't be wishy-washy in the middle, or in improv, you see it or you feel it in improv when you're entering a scene and you do things like this, where you're like those hesitations where you're starting, you have a thought or an impulse, but then you check it and then you hold back, or you kind of like, look, is it my time? Is this gonna, oh, I missed it. And then like it versus just impulse, boom, done. It's out.
Yeah.
Love his classes. He's great. So end of day 2. Is that it for day 2?
That is it for day 2. Next day we had Tom. So I spent most of that evening getting ready and working on my scene and work. We had a rehearsal in the space just before we left the studio. So we were working on bits for that. And if I had any trouble bits, I was working on that throughout the night so that I was ready to go for the next day. We were the second group to perform on the second day. Meeting Tom for the first time in person is great. His entrances, his exits, he's great. He's a welcoming, wonderful spirit and a wonderful human being. It was great to see him in person.
He's got great energy. He's kind of got that rock star vibe to him. Not in a pretentious way, just change the molecules in the room way when he walks in, and everyone who's worked with him loves him. So they're always the second he
people are clapping or loving it.
There's kind of a mob of people that come to him and get to reminisce, people who've worked with him for a long time. So and he really is the same in person as he is online. It's always fun when we were talking about this, how you, in this day and age, how you could have spent so much like kind of FaceTime with them and you know them and you've talked to them, but then to not have met someone physically in 3D is it's almost jarring, where you're like, oh, wait a second, are you real? You're a real person.
You're a real boy.
So takeaways from the coaching session on your scene?
It went very well. I found a lot of opposites. I had really good architecture. There were a couple of bits where I needed to speed up, and like that happens. And I found a really great opposite. The line was, okay. She said, I talk about this band that I'm going to go see and some friends of mine are in it. And I talk about like the music that we wrote. And she goes, you're in this band, aren't you? And I go, okay, yes. I play drums.
Nice.
Yeah. Class died. They loved it. Tom referred to it a couple times throughout the week. And he gave me the note, change it up each night. Don't let it get stale. This was great, but also this also works. This works. Right.
Even playing drums in a weird way.
Or even
that's how you play drums.
Drums.
Yeah, that's great. And opposites being one of the guideposts in the Todorov framework. Finding as another example of it is like saying something like, yes, I'd love to, or no, that sounds terrible, please don't. Those kind of things. Great. Anything
Yeah.
else from that class?
Change the molecules in the room. Change the molecules in the room. And love takes time. Love makes time. That was my big takeaway. I worked on that scene. It was probably one of the longer scenes that was performed. And I worked on it for a very long time. I took as much time as I humanly could. I rehearsed slowly so I could later perform swiftly.
Nice.
I felt very strong about what I did, and
Amazing.
it showed me that I am a player, and if I apply myself, there's nothing I can't do. And it was great. And
Amazing.
it was great to see everyone else perform. Daniel Greer performed a Chekhov scene, which was great. They had a little bit of shuffly feet off the top, but like once they found the stillness and really found what they were fighting for, it really sank into itself, and like it was really brought alive.
And that Wednesday, day 3, that's all Tom. That was all scene work.
Yeah, all
Beautiful.
Tom. Thursday was all Tom as well.
Oh yeah, great.
Yeah. So we had back-to-back scene study days, which were incredible. Everyone was incredibly supportive of each other. Everyone was congratulating each other and talking about what they really enjoyed. And like
your first time performing in New York City.
It was my first time performing in New York City.
Technically as well. Yeah.
It was.
Right off Broadway too. Yeah.
Right there. We were on
Amazing.
8th and 36th.
Right. It was at like a rehearsal space, studio space kind of thing.
Yeah, it was called Pearl Studios.
Nice. And so that's day 3 and day 4. Take us to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and take us out on the weekend here.
Friday, we start the day with Janice Orlandi for three glorious hours.
Yeah, that's just like magic. Yeah, it's like going to Hogwarts and being like, oh, I'm going to teach you how to be a magician here for 3 hours. I love it.
And we made a lot of we made 5-minute pieces of endowing an everyday object that we just had on us, and a chair, and that was it. And we made these like 5 tableau pieces, and then we worked together to create different tableaus in a group around these chairs, and like what is that communicating? What are the different archetypes? And like, so find a tableau for anger, find a tableau for joy, find a tableau for disgust, like whatever it was. And like we performed all of these, and we got even closer during those 4 or 5 days. Like we really developed a bond, all 14 of us. And like we were really like, okay, let's do this. We're working together. We're going to get out of this together. We're going to do this all together. And it was fantastic. Also, just going back to Tom, another takeaway I had for really the whole experience is teamwork is the best work. And I grew up and learned about a technique called the Plan B technique. And it's when you don't feel like you can rely on your other performers, and you just focus on what you can do. And I realized that it's called Plan B for a reason, because it is Plan B. Right. And Plan A is the plan that you go towards, and that is teamwork. Right. I got into this business and I got into this work because I love working as a team, and I really wanted to be part of a team because I love sports, and I love that aspect of it. And when you're all together and you're all working towards a common goal, and I felt like that really brought us together, and like it made me say, okay, no matter what, I'm going to make sure that all 13 of these other people feel seen and heard and cared about by me. Right. And
think about the difference in experience when you go in that way, thinking, oh, I'm going to go in and take what I can from this, or I'm going to lone wolf it, or some people might put ego, like, oh, who are these people? Maybe thinking that people are in different spots, or ranking people where you're like, I don't want to work with them. Like you can have all that stuff egoically, But then think about how you come away from that versus, oh, I'm going to go play and build connections and build friends. And like now you come out of that with, if there was 14 of you, 13 other friends that you have the shared experience. Like, I mean, it's not like it's going to war, but it's maybe as bonding as that, with the exception of nobody's arms and legs got blown off, hopefully.
It felt like going to, training camp.
Yeah. You go to a boot camp. Yeah. Because you all had to commit. You all had to have the discipline. You all had to show up. You all had present, and you had to give your energy to it. So yeah, that's amazing. And that, I think that really ties into what we do at Actors Audition Club too. As you were saying, that is for a lot of actors, and this was myself in the past, as an actor and as a stand-up comedian, this business can feel very lone wolfy. It can feel like you're doing it alone. But there's the saying, if you get to the top and you're alone at the top, then you've done it wrong. And there's also the saying of, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together, build a team. And the difference in joining a community like Actors Audition Club, where now you have really a full audition production team on your side, where you have audition coaches, you have other peers, other people rooting for you, other people fighting for you, other people vested in your success. And in the success of your auditions, especially the alternative versus like the difference in working with a TV and film professional who has acting training experience, is an actor, has experience in auditioning and the casting process, versus working with someone who's untrained, a family member or friend at home. The difference is night and day. So that's one thing that I've been really happy with and proud of, is our community here at Actors Audition Club, so that when people do join, they like, oh, someone else in the world actually gives a shit about whether I succeed or not. And it's easy to feel that no one does as a performer, because it is a solo career for the most part. It's like, you come in and out of ensembles in plays and in shows, but the beauty of the work and of life in general is more about relationships and more about your community and family and friends, not what can I achieve as a solo person trying to get rung by rung up this weird ladder. Like that's just a weird, toxic way to think about it. So joining a community like this, we've got some new members who've just recently joined. We can even drop the link in there. If you go to laughingvikings.com/AAC, you can check out the membership. And there's the offer there on how to get involved, where you can get enrolled for just $1 for 30 days, get involved in our community, get involved in our audition processes and services, kind of take the whole thing for a test drive, get a feel for how different your audition feels. Because really what we do is we help you shoot your self-tape auditions with film and television professionals, which is going to save you time. It's going to help you hit those fast deadlines. It's going to help you perform better when you're on camera. You're not going to have the stress. You're not going to have the tech troubles and anxiety over that, ultimately, so that you can be submitting what is your best work right now on camera for your auditions each and every time. And I just don't think you get that from the mentality of, oh, I'm doing this alone. And when I do get help, I cut corners and get the cheapest, most convenient person near me. Even if they're not an actor, I'll borrow a family member, a friend, or a neighbor. It's like you want to work with other trained professionals. And there's a meme going around of Brad Cooper saying, like, what is his goal? His goal is to work with the other top actors and other top directors and writers and get better by surrounding himself with amazing people. And that's really what we want to do. And that's what we do here at Actors Audition Club. So that's a great note. Just teamwork, building your team, building coaches, whether it's coaches, mentors, peers, people you can rely on, just people that you were in it with, so that you can make this a shared experience rather than like you're a horse with blinders on, feeling that you got to do everything all by yourself. Very lonely and stressful to do it that way. So that's day 5.
5. And we finished off day 5 with Submersive Clown with Chris Tramontana.
Love
Am I
it.
butchering that?
Chris Tramontana, yeah, who is a fucking genius and so profound and so fun. I've never had a class that was so fun and so profound. It's like this, I'm doing really silly, wacky things, but I'm also being deeply affected by it and taking away some of like mind-blowing things that he said where I'm like, holy shit, you just blew my mind. So
Yeah.
tell us about that as you go blurry.
As I go blurry.
That's not working. There it is. Okay, so Tramontana Clown takeaways.
Takeaways.
Or first of all, what you do? You want to share an exercise or two that he had you do?
The main exercise that we did was we split ourselves up into groups of 3, and there was one group of 4 that I was in. And what we had to do is we had to create a chorus. We had to create a song about something that we loved. And we each had to have a solo. The chorus had to have harmonies. It had to have some dance moves, and it had to that was it. It had to be about something that we loved. So about something we loved, harmonies, chorus, dance moves, and each of us had a solo in between those chorus numbers. And so our chorus was, I'm in New York eating burritos, chicken wings, donuts, pizza, ziti. And yeah, right. And so that was about that. And so I went up did my solo first. And we had to have a name. We had a title for our group. I was in a group with 3 older actors. So Daniel Greer, a woman named Selena, who was she was very much the leader of our 14 group class.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She was the mom. Yeah.
Yeah, she was very much the mom. I worked with her a lot. Fantastic performer, fantastic person. I really loved working with Selena. She's from LA. She grew up in New York. She lived there for 17 years and then moved out to LA. She's a single mom, hysterical woman, amazing, super strong. Really loved working with her. And this guy named the stage man Dan, and he was an older actor, kind of new to it. He was a banana truck driver for a long time.
Wow, worked for the Bluth Company.
Yeah, and decided to change careers and has been taking acting classes. He actually joined this class joined the intensive 10 days before it started.
Wow, good for him.
Yeah.
Nice. Impulse decision. Nice. That's fun.
And so
he was like, I'm sick of driving bananas around. I need a change. I need to go to Broadway.
And
there's a famous side note. There's a famous Harry Chapin song called 30,000 pounds of bananas. That is about the perilous journey of an 18-wheel truck with 30,000 pounds of bananas, and his brakes go out on the way into like somewhere through the New York mountains.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a runaway truck basically carrying
shit.
30,000 pounds of bananas. Shout out Harry Chapin. He's long dead, but that's a great song.
And so Daniel was pitching an idea of a name, and I was like, no, everyone. We're the grizzled veterans.
The grizzled vets. I like it.
GV. So, yeah.
GV for life.
Yeah. We walked out there full of confidence. We were the second group to go, and we got butchered alive.
Oh, yeah? It just fell apart?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I started talking about how I got lost in Greenwich Village and was trying to find Central Park. and about how I loved how there was this desk across the street on this roof, but like it was like I found the desk interesting. I wasn't really in love with the desk, and then I started talking about One Piece, or singing about One Piece. Sorry, because it was all singing, and so we were singing. I was singing about One Piece, and I was talking about how much I loved it, and how it's the longest running anime, and how Monkey D. Luffy is so inspiring. And
Like an improv, make up
I
an
did like
improv
a
musical.
gum gum yeah. And I kind of wish I had stayed out more. He probably would have coached me a lot more. Because like I was finally getting into a groove. And then we did our chorus again, and I think Selena went next, and then it was Daniel Greer, and then it was Dan finished us off, and like we all got coached along the way, and it was really about like we were told we couldn't applaud. We're not allowed to applaud. All we can do is laugh. And when do we laugh? And why are we laughing?
Right.
And what's the takeaways from this? And like after we finished our song, we would have to stand in a corner, and then Chris would be like, "Okay, audience, what points did you like?
Right.
Okay, show us what you liked." And so that, and then people would determine what their favorite bits were.
Yeah, I like when he did. I like this when he did that. Yeah, and always showing, not telling, like not getting intellectual about it. Oh, I liked how he kind of came out. No, you're describing it. Literally, show me what he did.
I want to see it.
He came out like this. Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, it is great. His classes are mind blowing. It's very about being seen, about being vulnerable, but also really picking up on what's working and what's not working. Like you go out there, say it's the comedy thing. If they're supposed to be laughing and they're not laughing, they're giving you direct feedback that what you're doing is not funny. So don't keep doing that. And the flip side is if you hook into something, especially if it's off the cuff, like an improv thing, if you hook into it, then it's about how much of that can you keep doing that they love, and then when do they stop loving it? Like, because there's also a line there where it's like, okay, yeah, I love that, but now you've been doing it for 30 seconds. What else you got? So it's like navigating, like really being present for the audience and noticing them and listening and getting that call and receive of them, and really being vulnerable to just stand there and take regardless of whether you're eating shit or whether you're crushing. Any other takeaways from Tremontana? Any other quotes?
No, I think that's it. I left that class feeling very open, very exposed. And that was the day that I did, after class, I went to go to Central Park.
Hey,
so I walked around Central Park with this very nice feeling of being open, and it felt like I was seeing everything for the first time. And and I was seeing everything for the first time. I want to do a little side note before we go into the next day. I went to see my first Broadway show. I went to see my first Broadway show on Thursday. I went to see a play called The Cottage, which is starring Eric McCormick, Laura Bell Bundy, Lily Cooper, Nahel Yossi, Alex Moffat, and Dana Steingold. It was this like absurdist comedy about these three couples, and they're all having affairs with each other.
Everybody's fucking everybody.
And like it was directed by Jason Alexander, so George from Seinfeld. And like cigarettes are popping out of every which corner. They're all very like proper British upper class people, but they're all having these like major affairs, and like they're just enjoying the raunchy aspect of it all. And it was absolutely fantastic. The cast was great. One of the best fart jokes I have ever seen on stage. I was lucky enough to get preview tickets. I was 6 rows from the stage. It was
close enough to smell that fart.
Oh yeah, it was great. Oh my god, it was so funny.
You want to let the fart out of the bag? You want to let the fart joke out of the bag and tell us?
Sure. Lily Cooper plays Eric McCormick's wife, who is having an affair with his brother and has been having an affair with his brother for 7 years and is 8 months pregnant with his brother's baby.
Gotcha. Classic.
But and so she's going, I'm about to give birth. I'm about to give birth. It's coming now. And like, you're a month early. I don't know. That's coming right now. And she like lifts up her dress and like, it's happening. And then
nice. Just farts.
Oh, it's just, it was beautiful. They had one really long fart. They had a shorter but like sharper fart.
We're learning a lot about Brandon Knox here. He was all the way to New York City, to Broadway, to the mecca of the epitome of top theater, and he's like, give me some fucking fart jokes.
Some fucking fart jokes.
Give me that Broadway fart.
The set was incredible. I think I talked a little bit about this before, but like there's cigarettes coming out of every which corner. There's a point at the beginning of the show where Laura Bell Bundy is talking to Eric McCormick and is just like, I need a cigarette, and pulls up the flower pot, and the flowers are fake and there's cigarettes inside the flower pot. And so she picks out one and then lights it with the flower.
Nice. So you check Broadway box now, the final
Broadway.
Weekend here.
On Saturday, we were very fortunate to work with Andrew Wade for Shakespeare. It was a 4-hour class.
Ooh, nice. 4 hours. That's good.
It was incredible. He is so charming. He is one of the best people. He walked us through this like a short voice workout or a short voice warm up to get us ready for the day. And it's like just cut from like, it was an exercise that I had done 100 times with him before. And like, it was just like, oh, I love doing this. I love having you in the room with me right now. Yeah. And there was even a point where I caught myself getting lazy, and I was like, no, you have Andrew Wade in your room right now. Right. You are 3 feet away from Andrew Wade. You are paying attention to this.
Right. And Andrew Wade is Shakespeare royalty, literally the Royal Shakespeare Company's voice and speech teacher formerly. So yeah, the amount of people he's worked with who are titans in the industry, his connections, that pedigree is incredible. And you're right, he's one of the most charming people in the world. I always love, and he's like, and have a yawn, have a stretch, have a yawn, have a swallow, have a stretch, have a yawn.
He's
have
great.
Have a walkabout.
Yes.
Have a stretch.
He
and a yawn.
is absolutely fantastic. And
like,
he really
Saturday
got us back to the
way?
No, we had Janice Orlandi in the afternoon
nice.
To like talk about viewpoints. She gave us a handout, and then she walked us through how to act drunk. Nice.
That's fun.
And that was so much fun. And we were interacting with our class, and one of my favorite moments from all week is someone in the class came up to me drunk and was like, so have you found Central Park yet?
Nice.
And I was like very excited, like, yeah, I did.
Nice. Is there any if you had to tell someone one point or two about drunk acting, what is it?
Find your sway. Find your sway. And just have a little back and forth.
Move different. Yeah.
And like just give yourself a little extra emphasis.
Right. And there's the note of most people when they are drunk, they're more often concealing it than wanting to overtly reveal it. So a lot of actors fall into the trap of I'm acting drunk when really it's about acting in real life. It's about acting like you're not drunk.
Well, because like Janice was really comparing it to floating and flying, which we talked about off the top.
Yeah. Depending on the type of drunk you are too. Yeah. That's very different. Making that choice. Are you happy light drunk, or does it make you heavier and slower and less responsive, where you're like, yeah, really affects your speed with some people. Some people speed up, some people slow down, or you do both, depending on
where you are.
On your way up, you might do this, and then as you're getting drunker and drunker, or beyond the mark, you're getting slower and slower.
And final day, we did a hangout with Tom and Emily at this board game bar on 36th and 6th Avenue.
Cool.
It was great. We got to spend a lot of time with them. I got to see Emily Moulton for the first time, who I deal with a lot with the Tom Todoroff studio, and it was great to meet her in person. It was great to have a chance to talk with Tom for a bit. And Tom came up to me and he says, like, so we've never actually met in person? I'm like,
right.
No, this is our first time, Tom. And he's like, huh, really? I was like, this is my first time in New York, Tom. He's like, really?
Huh. Right. Yeah, that's the weird thing in a Zoom world and a post world, like post-COVID world, where like what? We've never met in person before? No, I've known you for 5 years and we've spent hundreds of hours together, but never in the same room.
Yeah.
Cool. No classes on the Sunday. It was more like the meet and greet.
No, we had one final class with Tom.
Oh yeah.
We had one
and
final
then
class
you had a
study.
Okay.
No, we had the meetup on the Saturday. They do it on the Saturday.
That night. Gotcha. That makes
we
sense.
did it on the Saturday because a lot of people were catching planes and catching other things out of town.
Yeah. People don't want to hang out on the last day. They got to go.
Yeah. And so we had one final day of scene study with Tom. There were one scene to go up and 2 monologues. And then we did 2 cold reads. And I was the last cold read to go up.
Nice.
And I felt fantastic. I felt like I was ready to take on the world.
Yeah. I mean, but the end of that week, you should be performing at a level that's your best ever, because you've never gone that deep. I mean, aside from your training way back in theater school in university.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time to devote to it. So yeah, that's amazing. Final overall takeaways.
Teamwork is the best work. And when you're working with an ensemble, a true ensemble, that is pure bliss.
And anything that you want to share that you've taken away to directly apply to auditions, especially whether your own auditions or whether coaching people here at Actors Audition Club?
Work even harder to find opposites. When you're finding opposites, you're finding something that no one else has seen before.
Right.
And it's uniquely yours, and it makes you stand out, and it changes the molecules in the room.
And it makes your performance way more truthful, because that's real life. So it's exploring both sides of things. It's like, okay, yeah, I fucking love this person, but what do I hate about him? I hate this person. What do I love about him? I'm hitting high notes. Where can I hit low notes? I'm hitting low notes. Where can I hit high notes?
Yeah.
I'm being aggressive and very much fighting and full of conflict. Where can I be vulnerable and soft and subtle and quiet? Like, or straight up opposites of, I'm saying the words in a way that is opposite in what they actually mean, or vice versa, whether it's physically, like we talked about. No, yes, I'd love to. I'd absolutely love to have your delicious pie. Yes, please give me another slice. Yeah, it's great notes. And now you're back.
I'm back and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to rock.
Cool. Well, congratulations. And I just wanted to personally acknowledge you. Just I've known you now personally for 2 years here at Actors Audition Club, and the amount of the depth to your learning and to your commitment to the craft and to yourself and to our clients. I don't think I know another actor who is fully committed to, like, you're constantly in class, you're constantly learning, you're constantly growing. I know that was a large financial commitment for you to go to New York. So that takes a lot of trust and faith in yourself and in your abilities, and to take that risk of, I'm going to go all the way down there, spend some money, be in a new city. So congratulations to you, and kudos to you for continuing to go deeper and deeper and
Thank
to
you.
up your own personal levels of commitment to yourself and to your craft, and also to the ongoing commitment that you have to our clients here, because I think you do a fantastic job, and everyone who books with you, myself included, you really put in your best foot forward. You really treat other people's auditions like they're your own, in your ability to want to uncover more things in the script, or tell a story better, or find little nuggets, or help them bring out the best in themselves. And not everyone does that, but you're extremely committed to that, and you're super reliable, which is amazing. Like, I can count on less than one hand in the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of situations where you needed to show up at a certain time. You're always early, you're always ahead of time, you're always super prepared, and your personal preparation in your own auditions is top notch. You're one of those people who you rehearse a shit ton on your own, but then we shoot here. You've booked me for rehearsals ahead of self tapes. You've booked me for rehearsals where you want to work on scenes between self tapes and callbacks. You've booked me for rehearsals after your callback, when you booked the role and you wanted to be rock solid before you showed up on set. And I think the majority of people don't do that. So I think by your actions, you're putting yourself in the 1% of this industry, simply by how much time and energy and effort, obviously with the right coaches and with the right mentors and with the right training behind you as well. But congratulations. There's been a massive amount of growth I've been able to witness in you over these last couple of years. And I hope, and I think it's obvious that you're really a different person and a different actor than you were 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Congrats. All that to say, congratulations. It doesn't go unnoticed.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm excited for the next year ahead with Actors Audition Club, and what comes our way. And I think this is a perfect segue because you talked about booking sessions and booking rehearsal times and showing a real commitment to the craft, which you have really demonstrated, especially over the last year and a half. Especially once you finished conservatory, and all this to say, do you want to make the announcement, Lars?
Sure. This is a unofficial, but I found out earlier this morning, actually, that I booked a large lead role in an episode of a series. I guess I can't name right now, but
No.
Fantastic role. One of the coolest roles. Brandon and I did the audition together. I booked Brandon for the session. I prepped the shit out of it. It was 3 scenes. I felt great about the audition, and then it kind of went away. We did it back in April, and it was kind of one of those ones where it was like, oh crap, I felt really great about that and thought I did some great things, but I guess it went another direction. And then out of the blue, got a callback notice, super pumped, got to go right back into the script. All last weekend, I was rehearsing it and running it, and it was a Zoom callback. And I want to speak directly to people who are saying like, oh, Zoom callbacks are hard, or just all the tech or the nerves or any of that stuff. It's hard because you haven't done it enough, and it's hard because you haven't been comfortable enough. So I'll tell you, and not bragging, there's been plenty of auditions that I haven't booked. The majority of them I don't book. In fact, this booking ends probably one of the longest periods where I hadn't booked a TV film role. I'm always doing stand-up, and I'm always doing theater shows and creating my own productions, so that I'm never feeling like, oh, I'm not working. But in the back of my mind, I had noticed, and I had been clocking, oh, it's been a little while since I booked a TV and film role, despite feeling great about a lot of auditions, despite feeling great about getting a bunch of callbacks, which is kind of what I got to judge myself on. I never really get too concerned anymore about the bookings. I concern myself with my prep, my work ethic. Did I do everything I could in the audition and or the callback on my work? And then it's just kind of like, you got to let it go. And if they don't choose you, they don't choose you. I don't take it personally. And I certainly never, I really never got into a rut of like, oh, am I cut out for this, or am I really an actor? It was like, no, I'm doing good work. It's just not quite landing in the right situations. So this one specifically, I just want to share what I did is first we worked a ton. I booked Brandon, professional coach, to help me with it. He treats it like his audition. So he's coaching me, giving me good things. I had rehearsed a ton before the self-tape, so I felt good about it. But then this weekend, when I get the callback notice, I, of course, was rehearsing on my own, but I wasn't just rehearsing walking around aimlessly. I knew it was going to be a Zoom setup. So I set up my Zoom setup in the studio so that I have it exactly how it's going to be. I can see my frame. I can work out my eye lines. Sunday night, I was rehearsing a shit ton on Zoom. Like literally, I just opened up a Zoom meeting so that I could figure out, okay, here's my entrance point. There's my eye line. Here's my close-up frame. Here's my wide frame. Where are my eye lines for my looks. Then the callback was at noon. So I booked Erin Elizabeth Reed for a Zoom session at 10:30 to 11:30. So I worked with her for an hour. And what did I do? I rehearsed scene one, scene one, scene one, scene one, scene one. Then moved to scene two, scene two, scene two, scene two, scene two, scene two. Feel good about that one. Move to scene three, scene three, scene three, scene three. Then what we did is about 5 times in a row, I would do slate, scene 1, scene 2, scene 3. So, hi, my name is Joey Freddie Larson, 6'3", based in Toronto, reading for the role of Bill, whatever it is, reading for the role of, I almost let it out. Leaving. we'll beat that out. Say what it is for, but I'm so pumped for it. But I'm saying this is, I practiced like I played. So instead of going in like, oh, Zoom, oh shit, where are they? Where's my eye lines? Oh crap, this is a little different. The reader's giving me something different. I was so familiar. And the biggest thing was that slate, scene 1, scene 2, and Erin did it like a mock where she would be like, and cut. Okay, great. Love that. Let's move on to scene 2 whenever you're ready. Yeah. And then right into scene 2. Boom, that was great. We loved it. Let's do scene 3 whenever you're ready. Right into scene 3. We did that 5 times till 11:30. Then I logged in at 11:45. So I had 15 minutes just kind of decompress, stretch, start feeling good, kind of throw it all away too, so that I wasn't getting locked into things. But I went into that so hot. I had rocked it. I knew all my eye lines. I knew my first beats. I knew my opening and closing. I knew my last looks. I knew all my choices. The director was fucking fantastic. I got to shout out to him. Eventually I'll reveal who it is, but such great rapport and communication he was giving me. He gave me a couple notes, which I feel I was on the same wavelength to begin with. So what he was saying, I was like, yeah, that makes total sense. He was giving me things that I had considered, but just wanted me to lean into them a little more. I felt I was able to execute them real quick. I knew the script inside out, backwards and forwards. As I was saying the lines, it really felt like it was me saying them and not like I'm playing a character who's saying these words in a way that is foreign to me. Like it was really deeply rooted and specific. Like it just literally felt like it was me saying these things, which is what you want to get to. But I only got there because of the reps and the prep. And so just the note to people is, if you're having those feelings, especially in your own home studio, you just need to spend more time in your own home studio. If you're like almost like lean into the thing that is giving you the anxiety and stress, like you got to just do it more. So if you're rehearsing, if you got a big Zoom, oh my God, I got Zoom and I'm not sure about the tech, double and triple check your tech, get it up, set it up early. Some people, a lot of our top clients here, when they do their Zoom auditions and callbacks, they book the studio here so they can come get set up either with their equipment or with our equipment. They have a professional reader reading with them. So the first half hour of their session is just rehearsing with us, but on Zoom with the setup. So they're getting a feel for frame and vibe and eye lines. And then, so their first take in that Zoom callback, when the nerves kick in, isn't the first time they've said it live that day. Like that's a trap. Like that's too much pressure. It's like, why would you expect yourself to nail it on one take? You haven't done it a bunch. So it really was that I knew it was a big opportunity. I knew it was a role that I really wanted. It was right in my wheelhouse. And it was like, all I need to do is just keep working this and keep finding new things. So I was so confident. And the thing that I was mostly proud of was how relaxed I was. I wasn't getting like, you get a little bit of like, oh, it's showtime, but nothing that was detrimental, nothing that caused tension in me or my voice that would be negative, no negative thoughts that can sometimes throw off, like make you go off on the line. Where have you ever been in those lines like, oh, I thought I rehearsed this so much, and then the second I was on stage or the second they said action, I just was like, where the fuck am I? What line am I? And I had done it forwards and backwards so many times that it was that saying like, don't rehearse till you get it right, rehearse until you can't get it wrong. So shout out to you, Brandon. And yeah, shout out to you, Brandon, and also to Aaron for spending the time working with me. But it was like one of those ones where when I finished it, I was like, that went as from my part, my prep, my performance in that audition went as possibly like that was an A+. Went as good as it could have gone. Felt great with the director. Seems like I'm going to get it. Seemed positive. But even if I had not booked it, I still felt like that was my best work at this moment right now. There's nothing I personally could have done to put myself in a better position to book it. And that's all we can really ask for. We can't guarantee. You never know what you're going to book, what they're looking for, who they're going to match you with, what the other ensemble cast is. There's a million reasons why you won't get it, but you don't want to have the reason that you don't get it because you shit the bed with your own prep or your own work ethic. It's like, that's all you can control is control what you can control and let go of everything else. And I can't control whether producers or casting wants me in their thing. All I can control is that I show up on the day and give them a very close to on the day performance. That includes all the notes that I can play, all the ideas and strong choices that I might bring to the table as an actor and as a creator. And then if that's what they want to work with, that's what they want to work with. So thank you for bringing it up. I'm fucking pumped, clearly. But it's also just proof positive of everything that we coach and teach with here at Actors Audition Club, that like, don't leave that stuff to chance. The only thing you have control is your own preparation, your own rehearsal, your own work ethic, your own thoughts, your own gear. Get your home set up, taken care of, and get comfortable and confident with it, or join a community like ours where we take care of most of that stuff for you. And you can do that right now by going to laughingvikings.com/AAC, and you can take a whole drive of the membership for just $1. And we can help you shoot your professional auditions in less time, working with film and TV professionals without the stress, without the tech troubles, so that you can hit fast deadlines, so that you can elevate your performance and really just focus on your own performance rather than focusing on all the extra things, and ultimately get that feeling of, that was my best foot forward right now. Take it or leave it. That I couldn't have done any better. And then you're happy. That's where I think all your happiness comes from. An actor is just doing your own internal best, and then the rest of the world, you can be like, fuck it. You want me or not? That's me. That's my best. And that's that. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So long story short, or long story long. Yeah. Thank you. Long story long is I'm not just the founder of Actors Audition Club. I am also a client myself. Yeah, you got to walk the walk and talk the talk. So I'm excited to shoot that. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to work with the team and the directors. And I'll slowly unveil more about what it is, but I'm pumped for it. One of my biggest, I think, and coolest opportunities to work on the show.
Yes. Yeah. It's going to be great. You're going to have so much fun.
Yeah.
All right. Amazing. I believe that is it for episode 149.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe, tell all your friends, and you go to laughingvikings.com/AAC. And if you're not doing it already, you need to be subscribing to this podcast. And don't forget that you can show up live on Facebook and YouTube every week and ask questions and interact in the comments with us and really be a part of the show, no matter where you're listening from in the world. That's the cool thing about technology. All right. That's a wrap.
Goodbye, everyone.